All right, everyone get ready because we are going deep into the winter 2025 anime season.
Yeah.
I asked you guys to send in a bunch of stuff and you really delivered. I mean, there's so many things premiering, and we even have a German YouTube video breaking down some of the top picks.
Wow, a German video?
Yeah, German. So we're going international this season.
Nice.
It's going to be pretty wide. We've got everything from romance to, a story about like an office worker turned demon king.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Sounds like there's going to be something for everybody.
Totally. I think so too.
Yeah.
Let's just jump right in. So first up, we have Pak Studio Mappa.
Okay.
And this one follows like a stressed anime director named Natsuko.
All right.
And she kind of gets transported into her own creation.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And to escape, she has to rewrite the romance plot.
Interesting.
Yeah. So talk about pressure.
I was going to say that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that premise?
I think it's a really cool premise because it's not just, it's a little more than your typical isekai.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, oh, I'm transported to another world. Like this is like she has to confront her own cynicism about love.
Yeah.
And like experience those emotions firsthand.
Yeah.
I think that's a really cool twist on it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, she's going to be forced to really like confront her own beliefs about love and romance and like maybe come out the other side a changed person.
Yeah, I wonder if she'll be a believer in happy endings by the end.
Right, exactly. Like, will she actually start to believe in the power of love?
Exactly.
All right, so next up we have Taro Sakamoto.
All right.
And he's a retired hitman who has to protect his family.
Classic.
Yeah, kind of classic, but I think there's always room for like a good retired badass story.
For sure.
So what are your thoughts on this one?
I think it's more than just like a retired badass story.
Yeah.
It's about the internal struggle of wanting a normal life, but being kind of tethered to this violent past.
Right.
Like, can Sakamoto truly escape who he was? Or will he always be looking over his shoulder?
I mean, that's like the classic question for these kinds of characters, right? Can you ever really outrun your past?
Yeah, especially when you have skills like that. I feel like people are always
right.
going to come knocking.
Exactly. All right, so next up we have this anime about the Yggdrasil tree.
Yggdrasil tree, okay?
Yeah, have you heard of that before?
I have heard of that.
Yeah. So it's like a pretty important part of Norse mythology.
Yes.
And basically our protagonist is like this unassuming guy who gains incredible power from this tree and sets off on a journey.
Cool.
Yeah. And the thing is, he has this kind of lame job, and I'm really curious to see how that plays into his like newfound abilities.
I like that. I like that contrast of like, a really lame job.
Yeah, like totally mundane and then like this crazy magical power.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it ties into that like cosmic balance that the Yggdrasil represents.
Oh, interesting.
How it connects the 9 realms.
Yeah.
Like maybe his job, maybe he's an appraiser.
Oh, okay.
And maybe he's like unknowingly been given the ability to see the true value of things, even magical artifacts.
That's a really cool take.
That could tie into his role in maintaining that like cosmic order.
I love that. Yeah, that's awesome. All right, so switching gears to something a little lighter.
Okay.
We have Honey Lemon Soda.
Okay.
And this one features our protagonist, Uka, who is super shy.
Okay.
But with the help of this popular guy, Kaimura, she starts to like blossom and come out of her shell.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So it's going to be a really cute one, I'm sure.
I'm always a sucker for those.
Yeah.
Those coming of age stories.
Totally.
What do we know about this Kaimura guy?
Well, from what I've seen, it seems like he's more than just your typical cool guy.
Okay.
Like he actually recognizes Uka's potential and encourages her to like
good for him
step outside her comfort zone.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be really sweet.
Yeah. I like that he's not just like the stereotypical kind of popular guy who's like, kind of shallow.
Totally.
It seems like he actually sees her.
Yeah, exactly.
Who she is.
Yeah. And it's like he encourages her to kind of find her own voice, which is really cool.
I love that.
All right. So then we have 14.
Okay.
And this one is a little bit darker.
Right.
It takes place like 20 years after this devastating war.
Okay.
And our protagonist, Kainsel, is on this quest for revenge.
So we're thinking lots of action.
Yeah. Definitely a lot of action. But you know what I find really interesting about these kinds of revenge stories?
What's that?
Is the question of like, will they actually get their revenge? And like, what will it cost them?
Right. And is it really worth it in the end?
Totally. Yeah, totally.
Is that really the answer you're looking for?
Exactly. And then the source material for this one actually hints at this really interesting twist.
Ooh, what's that?
What if the people he's hunting aren't actually the true villains?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that could completely...
turn everything on its head?
Yeah, flip everything we think we know about the story.
Right.
All right, so next up we have Medaka.
Okay.
And this one is like a kind of clash of personalities.
All right, I like that.
Yeah. So we have like the very lively Mona Kawai.
Okay.
Who's trying to win over the very stoic and kind of serious Medaka.
Interesting. What's he like?
He's actually like a monk in training.
Oh, wow.
So I'm picturing like some hilarious cultural clashes.
Definitely a fish out of water situation.
Totally.
For at least one of them.
Yeah. But I also think there's like this opportunity for them to really learn from each other.
Yeah, for sure.
Like Mona's vibrancy could be exactly what Medaka needs to like break free from his routine.
Mm-hmm.
And, Medaka's discipline could help ground Mona a little bit. So I think they could both grow a lot through their interactions.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay. Now for something completely different.
Right.
We have this unnamed anime about an office worker who suddenly becomes a demon king.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I can't even imagine, like...
How does that happen?
I know, right? It's like one day you're doing your TPS reports, and then the next you're ruling over a demon realm.
Oh, wild.
I'm really curious to see how they handle this one. Like, is it going to be played for laughs?
I'm sure there'll be some humor in it.
Yeah, I'm hoping so.
But I wonder if there's also like a commentary on corporate culture.
Oh, that would be cool.
Like, what if the demon world is just like a more extreme, fantastical version of like the corporate ladder that he's used to?
Yeah.
And his office skills actually make him like a surprisingly effective ruler.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. Yeah, like maybe he's really good at delegating.
Right.
Or like organizing demonic armies.
Yeah.
All right. So back to romance for a minute. We have another unnamed anime about these two coworkers, Yui and Masugu.
Okay.
And they're trying to keep their relationship a secret.
Oh, the forbidden office romance.
Yes, exactly. It's like a classic trope.
It's a classic.
But it always works.
Right. Always makes for good drama.
It really does.
I'm always like, don't do it. Don't do it.
I know, right? It's like, it's going to be messy.
It never ends well.
Yeah, but you can't help but root for them.
I know you're always like rooting for them, but you're just like...
Yeah, it's a train wreck waiting to happen.
But maybe this time...
But, maybe this time it'll be different.
They'll make it work.
Yeah.
Do we know anything about like their personalities or like the tone of the show?
Well, from the source material, it sounds like it's really going to focus on the emotional roller coaster of like hidden feelings. It's not just about the thrill of keeping things secret,
right?
But it's also about like navigating those professional boundaries and dealing with like this intense attraction. Yeah.
So I think it's going to be really interesting to see how they handle that.
Yeah, like can they compartmentalize or will it all come crashing down?
Exactly. All right. And finally, we have this unnamed anime where our protagonist, Hana, is like a gifted reader.
Cool.
And she discovers this passion for literature that takes her far beyond her little small town.
I like that.
Yeah.
Small town girl making it big.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm always a sucker for stories about the power of words,
We do.
Like how books and stories can really transport you to different worlds and like open up your mind to new possibilities.
Yeah, it's like escapism, but also like personal growth.
Totally.
At the same time.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So I think this one is going to be a really heartwarming story about growth and friendship and the power of like following your passion.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one.
Me too.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a rundown of all the new anime coming this winter.
Wow, that's a lot.
I know, right?
Yeah. I don't know about you, but my watch list is already overflowing.
Mine too. But we're not done yet.
We're not done yet.
Because we still have some returning series to talk about.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, there's some big fan favorites.
Yeah, for sure.
Coming back this season.
So we got to cover those.
We do.
After a quick break.
That's good.
All right. Okay, so we just dove into a whole bunch of new anime, but you also included some returning shows in your research.
Right, right.
And there are some big names coming back this season.
Yeah, definitely.
It's always exciting to see like where the creators take us next,
For sure, for sure.
So let's jump right in. First up, we've got Solo Leveling Season 2.
Nice.
Jinwoo's power just keeps growing.
It does.
And I'm sure the stakes are going to be even higher this time around.
Definitely.
What do you think we can expect?
Well, you know now that Jinwoo is essentially like the most powerful being on Earth.
Right.
It kind of becomes a question of what's next, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like what do you do?
What do you do with all that power?
Right.
Does he become a protector or a ruler?
Oh, interesting.
Or something else entirely?
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be a really interesting exploration of what it means to be both human and superhuman.
That's a cool take.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, next up we have Dr. Stone, season 4.
Ooh, nice.
I am so excited for this one.
Yeah.
Huge science nerd.
Me too.
Love this show. I cannot wait to see what Senku comes up with next.
Yeah, those inventions are wild.
I know, right? Like, he's basically rebuilding society from scratch using, like, the power of science.
It's amazing. It's so... It really makes you appreciate the ingenuity of humans.
Totally. But you know what I also appreciate about Dr. Stone?
What's that?
Is that it's not just about the gadgets and inventions.
Right.
It's about the power of knowledge and innovation.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if this season they might touch on some of the ethical dilemmas that come with that.
Ooh, interesting.
You know, like how do you balance progress with preserving humanity's values?
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something I hadn't even considered.
Yeah, like just because you can do something doesn't always mean you should.
Exactly. Okay, so for all the romance fans out there,
yes,
My Senpai is Annoying. Season 2 is coming back.
Yes, I love that show.
Me too. It's so cute.
It's so wholesome.
And I love Mao and Jinchi's dynamic.
Yeah, they're great.
They're so good together. And this season, it looks like they've moved from the office to like the royal court.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a whole new set of challenges for them.
Totally. Like, how are they going to navigate courtly etiquette while still maintaining their like, their playful banter?
Yeah, will they be able to keep their dynamic in this new environment?
Exactly. All right, we're also getting more supernatural adventures with Toilet Bound Hanako-kin Season 2. I love the mystery and like the spooky vibes of this show.
It's fun.
Yeah, and I'm really curious to see what new mysteries they're going to unravel at the school.
I heard we might learn more about Hanako-kun's past.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Yeah, and maybe some more about the origins of the Seven Wonders.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that they're kind of like, expanding on the lore and the world building.
Yeah, like delving deeper into that Japanese folklore.
Totally. And last but not least,
let's hear it.
My Happy Marriage is back for Season 2.
Oh, I love that show.
Me too. This show like really touched my heart.
Yeah, it's so heartwarming.
I know, right? Mio and Kyoka's relationship is just...
It's so sweet.
So beautiful, and I'm rooting for them so hard to overcome any obstacles.
Definitely.
What do you think we can expect this season?
Well, it seems like this season might focus on their growth.
Okay.
As individuals and as a couple.
Yeah, I can see that.
You know, they've come so far already, but I think there are still challenges ahead for them.
Right.
And I'm curious to see how they face those challenges together.
Certainly, yeah. Yeah, like can their love endure under pressure?
The ultimate test.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Okay, so we've got power struggles, scientific dilemmas, romance blossoming in unexpected places.
All happening.
And the mysteries of the supernatural world unfolding.
This season has it all.
It really does. I'm exhausted just thinking about it.
I know, right? In a good way.
Yeah, in a good way, in a very good way. But as we've been talking about these shows, I've noticed that a lot of them seem to be exploring this theme of self-discovery.
Oh, for sure.
From Jinwoo grappling with his immense power to Natsuko confronting her own beliefs about love. It's like all these characters are on this path of figuring out who they are and what they're meant to do.
It's like a universal human experience that we can all relate to.
Yeah, and I think it's a theme that's especially relevant today,
Yeah, for sure.
In a world where we're constantly bombarded with like external pressures and expectations.
Yeah, like these shows offer us a chance to explore those internal struggles and remind us that the journey of self-discovery is ongoing.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's not like a destination you reach. It's a process.
Right.
Yeah. I also think it's interesting how we're seeing so much genre blending this season.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like it used to be easier to categorize anime, you know?
Right.
You had your shonen, your shoujo.
Your isekai.
Your isekai, yeah.
Yeah.
But now we're seeing shows like Taro Sakamoto that blend action with family drama.
Right.
Or Pox Studio Mappa, which is like this meta-narrative wrapped in a fantasy romance.
It's like the creators are saying, why limit ourselves?
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's so great.
And the result is like these fresh, unexpected viewing experiences. Totally. Yeah, it keeps things interesting for longtime anime fans, but it might also open the door to like new audiences.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Who wouldn't typically gravitate towards a specific genre.
Exactly. Yeah. Like you might not think you're into like a fantasy romance.
Right.
But then you watch Pox Studio Mappa and you're like, oh, I actually really enjoy this.
Totally. And I also think it's cool how anime is becoming more self-aware.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
You know, like even meta. Like Pox Studio Mappa is the most obvious example, with the anime director getting sucked into her own creation.
Right.
But even in shows like Solo Leveling, there are these moments that kind of like wink at the audience.
Yeah, like they know the tropes.
Yeah.
And they're playing with them.
Yeah, exactly. It's like they're acknowledging the conventions of the genre, but they're not afraid to like subvert them or like play with them in interesting ways.
Yeah, it's really clever.
Yeah, I think it's a sign that like anime is maturing as a medium.
Oh, definitely.
You know, it's becoming more confident in its own identity.
Yeah, it's not afraid to like poke fun at itself a little bit.
Right. And I also think it might be a reflection of like anime's growing global influence.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You know, as it reaches wider audiences, it needs to find new ways to both celebrate its roots.
Right.
And push creative boundaries.
Yeah, I think that's a really insightful point.
Yeah, it's like it's trying to appeal to both newcomers and like longtime fans.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think it's doing a great job of that.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the stories and the themes, but I want to take a moment to appreciate the artistry.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Behind these anime.
Yeah, from the breathtaking animation to the evocative soundtracks. I mean, these are works of art.
Totally.
And I think we need to give credit to the people who are creating them.
Yeah, like think about the stunning visuals of Solo Leveling. Or like the heartwarming score of My Happy Marriage.
Yeah, those elements are so carefully crafted to immerse us in the story.
Yeah.
And enhance our emotional connection to the characters.
Totally. And you mentioned earlier the symbolic significance of the Yggdrasil tree.
Yes.
In that unnamed anime.
Right.
I'm really curious to see how the animators bring that mythical imagery to life.
Yeah, it's going to be a visual feast.
I know, right?
I can't wait to see it.
And what about the music?
Oh, the music is so important.
I'm imagining like epic orchestral pieces for Solo Leveling.
Definitely.
And maybe some traditional Japanese instruments.
Oh, yeah.
Woven into the score for Medaka to kind of reflect his monk training.
That would be so cool.
Right. Like the soundtrack can really make or break.
Oh, for sure.
In anime.
It can totally elevate the emotional impact of a scene.
Totally.
And leave a lasting impression on the viewer.
Okay, and let's not forget the voice acting.
Oh, yes, the voice actors are amazing.
So talented.
They bring these characters to life with their nuanced performances.
Yeah.
You know, they can convey such a wide range of emotions.
Right.
And they add so much depth to the dialogue.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's really a testament to the skill and dedication of everyone involved in the creation of these anime.
Totally.
From the writers and directors to the animators.
The composers.
The
voice actors.
The voice actors. I mean, it's a truly collaborative art form.
It really is.
That requires immense talent and passion.
Yeah.
And as viewers, we get to reap the rewards of their hard work and creativity.
So as you're watching these shows this season, take a moment to appreciate the artistry behind them.
Totally.
You know, pay attention to the details.
Yeah.
The visual flourishes, the musical cues, the vocal performances.
Right.
Because it's those elements that truly elevate anime from entertainment to an art form.
Beautifully said.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to turn the focus back to you.
Yes, to our listeners.
Our listeners. This deep dive is all about helping you navigate this exciting anime season.
So we encourage you to take a moment to reflect on what we've discussed. which themes resonate most with you?
Yeah.
What genres are you most drawn to?
Right.
And what are your expectations for these new and returning series?
We've given you a starting point.
Yes.
But now it's up to you to explore further.
Do your research.
Yes.
Watch trailers. And get ready to embark on your own anime adventure.
I love that. All right. So we've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
From brand new anime to highly anticipated returning seasons.
Yes.
My watch list is officially overflowing.
Mine too.
But in the best way possible.
The best way possible.
Yeah, I'm so excited for this season.
Me too.
As we wrap up our deep dive, I thought it would be cool to zoom out a little bit and look at the bigger picture. You know, like, have you noticed any overarching trends or themes?
Oh, definitely.
That stand out to you this season?
Yeah, one thing that's really striking is how many of these shows across different genres are playing with the idea of identity.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, like we've got characters who are literally transported into other worlds, like Natsuko and Puck Studio Mappa, and others who are grappling with like hidden powers and legacies, like the Yggdrasil protagonist.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder if this reflects like a kind of collective questioning of who we are in a world that's like changing so rapidly.
Yeah. Like, who am I?
Right.
What's my place in all of this?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. I think anime has always been a space to explore these kinds of big questions.
Totally.
But this season, it feels especially potent.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And it's not just about like individual identity either.
Right.
It's about how those individual journeys connect to something larger.
Yeah, like the Yggdrasil anime, with its emphasis on cosmic balance, seems to be hinting at the idea that our choices have like ripple effects beyond our immediate understanding.
That's a powerful message.
It is.
Especially for a genre that's often associated with escapism.
Right.
It's like these anime are saying, yes, come escape with us, but also think about how these fantastical stories connect to the real world and your place in it.
Exactly.
I love that.
Yeah, it is a powerful message, you know, especially for a genre often associated with escapism.
Yeah.
It's like these anime are saying, yes, come escape with us, but also think about how these stories connect to the real world and your place in it.
I love that. Another trend I'm fascinated by is the blurring of genre lines.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like, it used to be easier to categorize anime. You had your shonen, your shoujo, your isekai.
Right.
But now we're seeing shows like Taro Sakamoto that blend action with family drama, or Puck Studio Mappa, which is like this meta-narrative wrapped in a fantasy romance.
Yeah, it's like the creators are saying, why limit ourselves?
Exactly.
You know, and it creates these fresh, unexpected viewing experiences.
Totally. And it keeps things interesting for longtime anime fans.
Right.
But it also might open the door to new audiences who wouldn't typically gravitate toward a specific genre.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Right.
Like, you might not think you're into fantasy romance.
Right.
But then you watch Puck Studio Mappa and you're like, oh, I actually really enjoy this.
Totally. Totally.
Yeah.
I also think it's cool how anime is becoming more self-aware. Even meta.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Puck Studio Mappa is obviously the most obvious example, with the anime director getting sucked into her own creation.
Right.
But even in shows like Solo Leveling, there are these moments that kind of wink at the audience.
Right.
Like, they know the tropes.
Yeah, they're playing with them.
Exactly. Right. Acknowledging the conventions of the genre, but they're not afraid to subvert them or play with them in interesting ways.
It's really clever.
Yeah, I think it's a sign that anime is maturing as a medium.
Oh,
becoming more confident in its own identity.
Yeah, it's not afraid to poke fun at itself a little bit.
Right, right. And I also think it might be a reflection of anime's growing global influence.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You know, as it reaches wider audiences, it needs to find new ways to both celebrate its roots and push creative boundaries.
Yeah, I think that's a really insightful point.
Yeah, it's trying to appeal to both newcomers and longtime fans.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think he's doing a great job of that.
I think so, too.
Yeah.
This has been such an insightful conversation. It's amazing how much there is to unpack in just the initial announcements of an anime season.
Right.
And we've only scratched the surface.
That's the beauty of it, isn't it? Each of these shows is a world waiting to be explored with layers of meaning and visual storytelling to uncover.
So what's our final takeaway for the listener as they navigate this incredibly rich winter 2025 anime season?
I'd say approach it with an open mind and a sense of curiosity.
Okay.
Don't be afraid to step outside your usual genres. Look for those deeper layers of meaning. And most importantly, have fun.
Perfectly said. And if a particular show really grabs you, go beyond just watching.
Yes.
Research the studio, the creators, the voice actors. Anime is a collaborative art form.
It is.
And there's a whole world of passionate people behind these amazing stories.
It's been a pleasure diving into this with you. I'm already counting down the days until these shows premiere.
Same here. To our listeners, thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Yes, thank you.
Now it's your turn to explore. Happy watching.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.